The first-hand impression is only 5 years. And this should be taken example of late Bingwa Muntharika, who impressed the nation within his first 5 years. And in this case, Mr. Peter Muntharika has got nothing to offer to Malawians because his first 5 years, he has completely failed. He has completely failed. The development agenda that Mr. Peter Muntharika can show in Malawi are the developments of his brother, late Bingwa Muntharika. May his soul rest in peace. Mr. Lazarus Chakwera has the power or right to give us a promise on his first 5 years. And here we want to say to you, Mr. Chakwera, how are you going to embrace the country, the people, and the international organization, the world at large, with your first 5 years? We put up some few reasons on that. The reasons are as follows. The impression of the president on the people, the impression of the president on security, the impression of the president on social standards, and the promise of hope. We start with Mr. Peter Muntharika. On the impression of the people, Mr. Peter Muntharika has completely failed. Because as I speak to you, life was more better to Malawians in 2009, 2012, 2014. From 2014 to 2019, life of people has deteriorated, demeaned, and undermined. 65, by now, 85% of the people don't have basic needs. That's 5 years of Mr. Peter Muntharika. First. On the second, performance of security. Mr. Peter Mutharika's government has failed to provide security to people of Malawi and to the country. On the people of Malawi, everyone is killed at will. People are beaten at will. People are arrested without a case. There's a lot in remand without being judged. People today can be banned as if there's no government. That's a failure of Mr. Peter Muntharika. On social standards, life expectation has gone lower than how it was in 2014. Today, whenever our young youth, age 24 to 36, when they give birth once, that's a disease, automatically they're going to die. What kills them, nobody knows. But if you weigh them, you'll find that it's a lack of basic needs. They don't eat all meals in a day. They don't have basic needs. They have got no shelter. They don't drink clean water. And that's under Mr. Peter Muntharika. On the promise of hope, Mr. Peter Muntharika has completely failed to give a promise of hope to the country. How? There's no development agenda that gives the picture that Malawi is going to be like this in the next 2 years. None at all. As I speak to you, electricity in Malawi is off 4 or 5 hours per day. Every day, 4 or 5 hours. It's not like load shedding at all. It is completely lack of sensitivity of a president and promise. Now, let's go to Mr. Lazarus Chakwera. Mr. Chakwera, on these 4 areas, what impression are you going to give to the people of Malawi? No. I forget on the security of the country for Mr. Peter Muntharika. Sorry, forgive me. The promise of security of the country. Today, as I speak to you, Mangochi, border of Mozambique, has gone inside Malawi. As I speak to you, the border of Sanje has gone inside Malawi. Mozambicans are pushing Malawians inside. Security of a country. We have a government. That's Mr. Peter Muntharika. I wanted to finish on that one. Now, Mr. Chakwera, what promise are you promising Malawians? What is your impression that you give us in the first 5 years as people? How do you assure us about security of a country and of us in our individual homes? How do you promise the social standards? We have heard about 3 meals per day, cheaper fertilizer. It shows that food will be available. But what is your impression that you want to give us as a country in the first 5 years? What social standard will you promise? And what promise of hope will you give Malawians? Those are things that we wanted to put. Now we are coming to impression number B. Impression of a country inside and impression of a country outside. Mr. Peter Muntharika, for 5 years, he only attends the United Nations General Assembly Conference once in a year. America, United Nations and Malawi, we are far too distant places, more than some regional organizations within. Mr. Muntharika has never attended the SADC meeting next door. Mr. Muntharika has never attended African Union meeting, mother body. Mr. Muntharika has never attended COMESA meeting if it's done outside Malawi. Well, let us look at Tanzania. John Pombe Magufuli, a president of Tanzania, has never attended such conference. He sends representatives, Minister of Foreign Affairs and others. But there's something that Tanzanians can show, that with our president at home, this is what is done, this is what is done, this is what is done, this is what is done. We cannot point any. Why? Because all the things that you have, Mr. Muntharika, that you have won with elections are all for your brother, Lady Bingu Muntharika. Bingu Stadium, Bingu International Conference Center, roads, food, bumper harvest. Those are the first 5 years of your brother Bingu Muntharika. What is your first impression in these first 5 years? Internationally failed. Nationally failed. Within, you have failed. Now, if you are to be voted back in power, now, you have to give us what impression you give, because you have already failed 5 years. And with your age, will you manage the other 5 years? Because currently, on COVID-19, you have completely failed. Other presidents that are older than you, they brief their people about the development and whatever means are used to combat this COVID-19. You have not. When you come out from wherever you quarantine yourself, you come and blame the courts. That the courts are the ones that made you to lose power. The courts are the ones that are making people to die. Are you serious? Fellow citizens, particularly me, V's, and all Malawians, when you listen to me, you may think I'm decampaigning Mr. Peter Muntharika, or I'm campaigning for Mr. Lazarus Chakwera. The truth remains. What I'm telling you here, if you can be able to argue with me that I'm lying, then I'm campaigning for Mr. Chakwera, or I'm campaigning for Mr. Peter Muntharika. But what if I'm telling you it's true? Then I want to awaken Malawians. Don't be fooled this time. Campaign number 4. On the same part, Mr. Peter Muntharika has asked all people that support DPP to go in Blantyre and fill petrol, full tank, for free. Meaning, Mr. Peter Muntharika will pay for that petrol. Now, let's do statistics a bit. Under the elections of 2014, Mr. Peter Muntharika won 35, if it's not 37% of the votes. In true figures, it shows that every 37 or 35 people out of 100 are the people that voted for Mr. Peter Muntharika. 62% or 63% did not vote for him. Today, DPP and Mr. Peter Muntharika is asking those 35 people out of every 100 to go and fill their petrol. And I'm also told that MADEF credits loans are given to such people. Now, you and me, who are neutral in this political game, we will know that Malawi is taking care of only 35 people in every 100. 65% or 67 people on every 100, they are poor. They are left out. This must give you a picture. If more people are being vulnerable, they are not taken care of, you must know that that country will never develop. Because a country that develops, at least out of 10 people, 7 must succeed. Because these 7 people, if they are successful, they will be able to employ or share the little they have to the other 3. Because the number of those that don't have is few. But if the number of the people that don't have is more, and the number that is got more is less, you must know that that type of nation is collapsed, is facing an earthquake economically, socially. Fellow citizens, this life that Mr. Peter Muntharika is practicing in Malawi is dangerous in as far as this country has to go ahead. Why? As I speak to you, when Mr. Peter Muntharika is filling full tank of people, full tank of petrol, Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital, Kamuzu Central Hospital, Zomba General Hospital, Nzuzu General Hospital, those are general hospitals, or referral hospitals. They don't have any drugs, no medicine, no equipment. This money that is put in petrol to 35% of the people could not buy medicine so that it could cater for all the 100% of Malawians. When you are going to vote this time, think, what type of Malawi do we want? When you are going to vote, think, what type of Malawi do we want? We don't care. Even if the positions given are given to 65%, as long as more number of successful people is higher than those that are unsuccessful, it's better, because these successful people will employ the least number. The worst part of it, in these 35% people that Mr. Peter Muntharika supports, their family members are the ones posted in embassies all over the country or the world. It is the minister's child, the first lady's daughter, the first lady's nephew, the president's nephew, the president's niece, the minister's niece, the PS niece. It is the very same people surrounding themselves, the economy of Malawi. And now, the worst part, they are 35%. 35 people in every 100. Now, you should know, any 5 years, any 10 years, any 15 years of DPP government, Malawi is going to be poor. Why? The large number of people is going to continue being poor. Now, you better go and vote carefully. Don't vote for a minimal monopoly. People that are a small number of people that are gathering all the wealth of our country. Think about these people. At the end of the day, Malawi needs to share. We need to socialize. Money should come into me. It must be able to surround to everyone. But under 35 people in every 100, money will never cross the river to the majority who are suffering. Therefore, we need to change. Whether you like it or not, you are not going to change because you hate DPP or you love Tonsi Alliance. But the division here, it's very, very unfair. We need Malawi of all of us.